5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Pryvit.
Bonjour.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Brew, Season 1, Episode 80,
80.
a Yeg Music production. I'm your host, Marissa Kay.
I'm your other host, Millie Rouge, and welcome to our album review / news party. So let's jump into it. We are going to talk about 3 things this morning, all about kind of the entertainment industry. But why don't you kick us off with the first?
Yeah, so our first conversation here. Sorry, there's a lot of clanging going on in the background right now.
I thought that was a cricket.
It's not a cricket. Matthew, my brother's making coffee.
Oh.
So if that's what you're hearing, that's what you're hearing right now. So yeah, the first category we have here is actually about the Emmys, and we both kind of have never really paid attention to the Emmys that much. Like even before now, I don't really care about award shows either. I just don't really watch even the Grammys or Oscars. Yeah. I'm like, I just don't care.
Even music.
That's just my personal. The only way I watch award shows is when they have opening numbers and like dance numbers. I will watch that, but like when it comes to the actual award show, I'm like,
it's boring.
Good for them. I don't. It's whatever.
Rich people being succeeded. How great.
And I'm like, I'm happy for those people, and I think it's amazing. And I mean, I would be honored if I ever got one. So I'm not saying that they're terrible. I'm just saying I don't really watch them.
Yeah.
But that being said, this one is about the Emmys. So the Emmys, I'm trying to remember what category that's in. Is that TV shows as Emmys, or is that okay? Yeah. So yeah, it's the biggest surprises and the biggest snubs and surprises from the 2020 Emmy nominations. So it says here, even with the Emmys expanding, this is from the Los Angeles Times, by the way. Yeah. Even with the Emmys expanding the drama and comedy series categories to 8 nominees and boosting the supporting acting races to number 8 as well, there are omissions. Surprises too, but also crushing, demoralizing exclusions that leave a bitter taste in the mouth and a black cloud over the psyche, which is interesting. It's. Let me see here. Spectator 033 said the higher table, the rest are on the ground.
What?
I don't know what that means.
I don't understand. I need context.
I was gonna say, I'm so confused.
What do you mean? Anyhow, we'll move along.
So this article says that there's some surprises, there's some snubs. So starting off here, it says making it ahead of Emmy winners, Nicole Kidman, Viola Davis, Elizabeth Moss, the star of HBO's dark drama Euphoria, pulled off the morning's biggest surprise with the voters that were spot on in recognizing her haunting, unsettling work in that show. The former Disney star carried this uneven series with style and sensitivity to spare. That's really interesting. Like I said, I've always wanted to check out that show. I've been hearing good things about it. I've been hearing that it's a pretty neat show. So I'm probably going to try that out. Take a look at it. And then it's just kind of listing off some other people. Rami Youssef picked up an acting nomination with Rami, making history as the first Muslim American sitcom to earn an Emmy recognition. That's really cool. We got a couple comments on Reddit here. Super Soaker Surfer Guy. That's an amazing name. What genres artists are we reviewing today? So we're going through a couple of news topics first. So we've got a couple entertainment news topics, and then later on we're going to be reviewing a neo soul R&B type album. Sugar Sakaram said, "Hi Millie, I caught your sad boy theme session and I really enjoyed it. Thanks for making my day better."
Thanks for coming back. I'm glad you enjoyed the sad boy theme.
Yes,
those are always my favorite.
And Spectator said, "Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson moved to Greece. It's a powerful haven." Oh, I still don't understand what.
No,
I'm confused. But anyway,
did they do that?
I guess. Oh, I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. So kind of going through here, there's just voters didn't recognize the show when we're talking about that Raimi. But voters didn't recognize the show itself, a shocking omission for one of the best reviewed comedies of the season. So I guess that was one of the snubs.
The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda. He's gonna get an Emmy. He's on the list. Never underestimate the power of Baby Yoda or the child.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just goes along. I'm just kind of like scrolling
There's
through
lots
here.
of things nominated.
There's a lot of things nominated.
It's really, really tough to narrow it down.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I get people telling me every single day, they're like, you need to watch this show. You need to watch this show. I'm like,
so
by the
many
time
shows.
There's so many shows that I need to watch.
Well, even someone on Reddit just said, have either of you two seen the show The Dark? I've heard good things about it, but haven't seen it myself yet. Have you guys ever seen Monsters, Inc.? It's the industry. I have. 2219. But yes, 2419, I think is what it is. But yeah, I haven't seen The Dark. Like you said, Marissa, there's so many shows that I'm like, I wish I could keep up with, but there's so many. And I'm still trying to get through Grey's Anatomy, and there's 16 seasons, so I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of like a common theme among award shows is where people there's often people in certain categories that get overlooked.
Totally.
And it's a very male dominated industry as it is, so that's always been a thing, and white dominated industry as well, so it's like this is not a new conversation. Like this is very much more of the same. But it is very encouraging to see all of these shows that are kind of getting recognition, even if they're not getting recognition at the award show. That sucks, but I'm happy that they're at least getting recognition. If we can get it to the point where, you know, they're actually nominated, I think that might be, you know, better.
It's still amazing.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't even watch the award show, so I'm probably going to watch a show based on someone's recommendation to it to me, not about, it won an Emmy, because that doesn't mean anything to me.
It's like, I don't even know who's evaluating this. Like, it's a panel of jury, and I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know your taste. Yeah. Like, how can I just assume that I'm going to like a show? And usually it's like kind of popular opinion, typically, like what show's been doing the most popular. Like The Mandalorian, for example, that's been a very popular show. So I think it just kind of depends on that. So yeah, I want to move on to our next article, but I need to apparently find my center, but I don't know where my center fucking is. I don't understand.
Find your center. If you go that way, like if you go a little bit, bit further that way to the right, your right. Yeah.
This way? Okay.
Go a little bit further to your right, and then you're good. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
That's perfect.
I cannot freaking tell for some reason. I have 3 screens I'm looking. I'm like, actually 4 screens I'm looking at.
I'm like the general. I'm like, once you find your center.
So anyhow, that's the Emmys. Yeah. We're excited. I probably won't watch it, but I'm just excited. I like to hear just who wins after, because that's how I roll. So let's talk about our Canadian boy Drake, because why the heck not? So Drake beats Madonna for the most Billboard top 10 hits of all time, which is not surprising, honestly. The 2 artists were previously tied with 38 songs each. This is also from cbc.ca, so everyone knows. Over the past few years, Drake has secured his spot as obviously one of the world's biggest musical artists, which is insane, by breaking the Billboard records. This week, he has another achievement to his long list. He recently collaborated with DJ Khaled, and he debuted a new song called Pop Star. It's actually a really good song, and every time there's a new Drake song, I'm a little bit forced to listen to them, but I still listen to them, and usually they're a really good time. So he earned 40 top hits, officially surpassing Madonna, who was previously tied with Drake at 38, so very, very close. And I mean, Madonna hasn't released music, so there's no way she could have like one-upped him if she had tried. And I don't know how popular she is anymore, so I don't know if she had released, if it would have even made a difference. Really quick here, Sugar Sharoom says, I have issues with the lack of Asian people. Yes. Filling lead roles. Instead, they stick them in obscure character types, tropes with no depth. And actually,
absolutely,
there was Sandra Oh was recently nominated. She's from Grey's Anatomy for an Emmy for Killing Eve. It's like this brand new show that I've heard is doing really well. So I'm
somebody
super
mentioned that on the
that
stream. Somebody mentioned that on the stream the other day, and I was like, I've never heard of this before. Yeah.
She has also a fan account.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Also, one more thing that I wanted to bring up, just the fact that Sugar brought that up.
Yeah.
One of my favorite films of all time is Cinderella from I think it was 1999. And for the life of me, the only person whose name I can remember is Whoopi Goldberg was in it. She was the queen. So it was the queen and the king, and then their son, like the prince was an Asian guy, and he was like, And I just remember like I had this huge crush on him as a little kid, and I just felt like the need to mention that because that movie is incredible. And I think that we should use that 1999 Cinderella as like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a blueprint of like how movies should be moving forward.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, like Sugar, you're absolutely right. That is a thing that happens for sure, and it needs to
needs to
be better,
improved. Well, I think Sandra Oh, really quick, she even said like, when I was little, I never saw girls on the screen that looked like me. So it just goes to show you for sure.
Yeah, and even I mean, we could also get into Broadway too. I saw this one video of this little girl who's watching a video of Philippa Sue as Eliza on Broadway, and she was so adorable. She was like, oh, "That's me," and then my heart was just like, "Oh, it was so cute."
Yeah,
it was so cute.
So we'll continue to go back to our topic here.
Yes, let's go back to Drake.
Yes, so. The last time Madonna notched a top 10 hit was in 2010. Actually, we were just talking about this. So with her Nicki Minaj and Mia single, MIA single, Give Me All Your Lovin'. Didn't hear that song, but good to know. Drake also broke a recent record as well for the most total singles on the top 100 with 208 beating out the Glee cast.
Hold on. 208 singles?
I don't know. With 208 beating out the Glee cast. I think that's what it's saying.
That's blowing my mind right now.
But that also doesn't seem right.
That's so many.
So he also now holds the record for most consecutive weeks spent on the chart. Yeah, I mean, just he's got a lot going on. Like here's a quick list that they summarized: most total chart entries, most total top 10 hits, most total top 40 hits, most top 10 debuts, most consecutive weeks spent on the chart. Oh, there it is. Most simultaneous entries in the chart, top 10s, top 20, top 40 on the chart. So every time he releases, most of the times his songs do very, very, very well. I feel like there's never really been a time when Drake has released a song and it hasn't gone well or it's gone negatively. Like, I don't think I rarely hear about that. So this is honestly not that surprising to me.
Well, I think the reason why it's surprising to me is because Madonna's been around for like way longer than Drake. So it just baffles me that he has more hits than her. But I guess with the times moving along, that does make sense. Because I don't know, because Madonna's still making music, but it's not.
Well, and it wasn't as accessible to listen to music when Madonna was the age she was and playing music, right? So that's something to consider. Like kids have so much access now to music, and probably back then it was just the adults listening to Madonna or whatnot, right?
Man, it makes me wonder what life would have been like in the 80s if we had phones, like if we had like smartphones back then. It makes me wonder
what the music
industry would be. Well, it makes me wonder what the music industry would have been like now if we had phones back then, because that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, good for Drake.
Yeah, he's killing it. I saw his mansion in Toronto. He is doing just fine, my friends. He apparently has like a basketball court in his house. And I'm just like...
Also, on Reddit, Sugar said, "Later, Gators, you two and Jackie Vincent are my favorite artists on our pen." Aww,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are back live again tomorrow, same time, so we hope to see you again.
And Millie's going to be live today at 5:30 or 5
for Sad Boy theme songs. Just kidding. We're doing a different theme today. Let's quickly mention that we also, if you guys are checking us out on Reddit, we are also currently streaming right now on Twitch, and a little bit later we'll be uploading to YouTube as well. So let's talk about our next article. This one has been kind of surfacing for a couple months now.
Yeah,
this is kind of following it around. So this is from Variety.com. The Ellen DeGeneres show Workplace is under investigation by Warner Media. So
so this story, I kind of was following this one a little bit at the start of the pandemic because I heard. I mean, it was just from like little bits and pieces that I got from here and there, kind of just like scrolling through. Because when something's trending, you're going to see it no matter what. So that's kind of where I was getting most of it because I wasn't really actively following it. But from where it started, from what I understand, was they had tried to take the show home, like to do from home, but then people were being hired and then it wasn't under certain regulations or something like that.
Yeah.
Andrew on Twitch said, "Hey girls, what time on Reddit today? 5:30 5:30 p.m. Andrew.
I'll write it in the chat.
Millie's going to be streaming there. So, yeah,
thanks for
there
asking.
You go. So it says here on the article, the Ellen DeGeneres show has become the subject of an internal investigation by Warner Media following numerous accounts of workplace problems in the long-running daytime series, Variety has learned. Executive producer or executives from the show, producer Telepictures and distributor Warner Bros. Television sent a memo to staffers last week saying they've engaged WBTW owner Warner Media's employee relations group and a third-party firm who will interview current former staff members about their experiences on set. So they're kind of going into little different here. Mid-July, BuzzFeed published a report alleging racism and intimidation on the show. The memo came from desks of Telepictures Executive Vice President Donna Redier Linsk and WBTW Vice President of Human Resources Donna Hancock husband.
So a bunch of people we don't know.
A bunch of people I don't know. But basically from the gist of it, there was contained a spectrum of accused racist behavior from microaggressions to jokes about mistaking two Black female employees with the same hairstyle. I think that was like the box braids comment. As well as criticism of statements allegedly made to another staffer by executive Ed Glavin. Says, we are truly heartbroken and sorry to learn that even one person in our production family had a negative experience. It's not who we are and who we strive to be and not the mission Ellen has sent for us. And they said, for the record, the day-to-day responsibility of the Ellen Show is completely on us. We take all of this very seriously, and we realize, as many in the world are learning, that we need to do better, are committed to doing better, and we will do better.
Yeah.
So,
that's an entertainment industry thing in general. They all need to do a little bit better, I think.
Oh, 100%.
And you know what? Honestly, this is... Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's so many workplaces that are always give this excuse of like, we didn't know. Oh, we were blind to seeing that this manager was very toxic. And I'm like, that is not a good enough excuse. Like, I've worked at some, especially in the food industry, I've worked at some pretty freaking crappy places that treat their employees like crap. And they brand it as like this family thing. So they'll be like, we're a family. And I'm like, like, if a job ever tells you we're a family, run. Bitch, run. Yeah. You're screwed. You're getting screwed. You're getting a pizza party as a raise. That ain't no raise.
Yeah.
So anyways.
That's truer words have never been spoken. And Wife Material said, no, I want to like Ellen so bad, but like, not cool. Yeah, it's always tough. This story has been one of those things that I've been watching, and I'm like, I remember that quote from The Dark Knight where it's like, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening. I mean, everything is...
It's just kind of sad because Ellen was like, really for the longest time known as this like really wholesome person who stood for like LGBTQ rights and everything like that. LGBTQI, I think there's an I plus now. Anyways, whatever the correct term is. I'm sorry. I just don't know the updated version. But she was so good for a while and she did such good representation of it. And everyone loves her. Like, even the homophobic people, I feel like, still liked Ellen because she's just a wholesome person. It didn't matter her sexual orientation. She just put on a really good show. And it's just sad to see that this is like kind of the way it's crumbling, you know, but it's good. It's good to bring awareness if a place isn't, you know, if there's actually some not good content behind it. But
yeah. Well, and the other thing too, that I think is important to recognize is like, no matter what race you are, no matter what orientation you are, no matter who you are, we all still have a lot to learn, and we all still have a lot of growing to do. And even someone like Ellen has a lot of growing to do still.
Absolutely.
USMC said, morning, y'all. We're ranting about Ellen, ? We're not really ranting about Ellen. We're just kind of talking about the whole story behind her show and some controversies that have been, or not controversies, but just some stories that are being brought up. It makes me really sad and disappointed that this is kind of what this has evolved into. And I mean, I personally haven't been really watching the Ellen show for like years now.
It's one of those things you watch when you're sick.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I mean, you know, there's a lot of little kids who look up to her too. Because they're like, oh, she's Dory. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, all you can really do is just kind of hope for the best.
Well,
But
and I think
yeah.
this time of life is interesting because we're getting, obviously there's like a lot of just like, I don't even know how to explain it, but we're all becoming just woke, if you will. We're all becoming really woke. But I think it's like, it's also making celebrities like just really check themselves and their privilege and how they kind of come across sometimes. Like I remember when that video came out of the Imagine and
Yeah,
people
that was
just
pretty
fucking
funny. I'm not gonna
roasted
lie.
that shit because it was like the most ironic thing to put out
Yeah.
when it's
Well,
like
and I
you
think
are
that
not struggling.
well, and it's funny because I think that now, especially now that Gen Z has kind of grown up and found their
Yes,
voice,
like Space
Space
Canada
Canada said
just
it's that
said, yeah.
Gen Z. Yep. Um, and it's that Gen Z that started to kind of wake up, and like us millennials were like, hey, we should probably do something about this, maybe, I don't know. And then the Gen Z is just like, boom, boom, bully the
Bam!
president, boom, boom. And we're just like, we're
Yeah,
sitting there, we're like, oh, that's how you do it.
yeah.
Cool.
We didn't have the
um,
balls.
yeah, Gen Z is doing what
You
millennials
guys
didn't
are
have the
cool.
balls to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just I think that I don't know if it's us becoming woke. I think it's just we're finally uncovering things that have been going on for a long time, and we just stopped ignoring it, or we're stopping ignoring it now. We're slowing down the ignoring of these things that are going on. So it's sad and disappointing, but it's also very eye-opening, and I think that we should be open to those things changing and seeing people for the whole person and not just one image of somebody, and that goes either way, you know. um yeah,
So let's move on to our album review. Really
yes,
quickly
I'm so
though,
excited to talk about this album.
let's talk about our Instagram. So for those of you that are liking this show, maybe you're liking the live streams, maybe you're liking the live music, we do have an Instagram. It is Vienna Whyte. If you check us out on Instagram at Vienna Whyte, you can find the links to literally everything we do. We have a podcast show where we feature these shows in podcast form. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook, a website, a TikTok. Hey. And yeah, so there's like so much content to just like catch up on, or to, if you're bored and want something to watch in quarantine, this is the content you can watch.
Yeah,
So let's.
and if you want to see me fall down, you can check out yesterday's video. I've learned to just lean into it. It's fine.
It's all good. Let's move on to the album review. Like we said, we're excited to talk about this. Let's jump right into it. Yeah, we do got everything. We really do.
So the artist and album that we are reviewing is Honey Colored by Nyah Grace, and I believe it is up in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, well, not yet, but it will be.
Yeah. USMC said, damn, y'all got everything. So yeah, there we go.
There it is.
There we go. So if you guys want to listen along with us, I always tend to listen to the album as we go. So I'm going to hit play here and have this on in my headphones.
I'm doing it today too.
Yay. So yeah, we're going to talk about Nyah Grace's album. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this artist first before we get into it. She's pretty cool. Like she's really
a
cool.
baby.
She's amazing.
She's a little baby. She's young.
Well, she is very young. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't like listening to her voice. I know we're not getting into specifics right now, but I did not expect her to be as young as she was when I listened to her voice. Like she sounded like she was like in her 20s, like late 20s. I was like, her voice is so mature and sophisticated. But anyway, so it says here, she was born in Oregon. She was an emerging, or she is an emerging R&B star, I guess you could call her. She spent most of her life in the UK, spending much of her recent years between Yorkshire and London, finding inspiration in greats like Lauryn Hill, D'Angelo, and Estelle. Nyah's sound is defined by a combination of neo-soul and jazz. So Nyah grew up on her parents' farm in rural Oregon. with hazelnut trees, 2 cows, 3 chickens, 2 cats, and a bunch of dogs, 3 horses, and wide open spaces. That's amazing. I write a song about that.
Right? Hazelnut trees. That sounds beautiful.
Yes, that sounds amazing. As a child, she wanted to be Selena Gomez or Taylor Swift, but
Preach.
discovering R&B and soul in her early teens set her down a different path. That passion for music saw her developing her talents in the basement on the farm, teaching herself piano to be able to write songs, and then Logic to transform those ideas into demos.
Very cool.
Her momentum soon snowballed. I'm reading this from Submit Hub, by the way. She was discovered by a manager who whisked her across the Atlantic to work with Michael Kwesi Graves in Brixton, and then these are so hard to say, Steve Chrysantho in Hebden Bridge, Yorkshire. For months, she went back and forth between the 2 locations and relocated to UK permanently when she was only 17.
I know.
What the heck? So cool.
I was not that cool at 17. Let's just get that straight.
But also hella brave, because that would be terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that at 17.
Yep.
That would be scary.
Yep.
So that's just really, really cool. So yeah, that's just a little bit about her. She's this badass Gen Z talented person.
Yeah.
And she's making some amazing music.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit about Nyah.
Yeah. So I don't know a whole lot about this album, to be honest, still. And I think it's just because of the age and how new she is as an artist. But first of all, the most exciting thing about this album is that she collaborated with Corinne Bailey Rae.
I know. I saw that and I was like, wait. Like
hold on. Yeah.
The Corinne Bailey Rae.
Yeah. It just makes so much sense. So this is her debut album. It's a cool, subtle neo-soul vibe with really nice hints of jazz. It's a wash with hooks destined to capture ears eager to hear some fresh new sounds. That was a quote I found, which I thought perfectly describes the album.
Yes.
It was released July 24th, so literally not that long ago. And it features 13 tracks. So there's actually, for an 18-year-old singer-songwriter, and she writes in majority of these songs with other people, co-writers. That's a lot of songs. This girl must be one of those artists that's just constantly writing and is I always have ideas, because there's some artists that are just they just pump out that stuff it's nobody's business. So I feel like she's that kind of chick. So I really, I'm really excited to talk more about this album. I couldn't find too much more else about the behind the scenes of the album, if you will. So let's talk about first impressions. What happened when you first turned on this album and hit play?
Ooh.
Were you expecting this genre?
Honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. I think I had an inkling that it might be an R&B album just based on the vibe that I was getting off of the album artwork. But honestly, I don't know. It was not what I was expecting, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So I turned this album on right when I woke up yesterday.
That's a good time.
And and really it was just time. It's such a beautiful way to wake up. Yeah. Such a beautiful way to wake up. And it was just the first vibe I got was I felt like I was in a coming of age 20-something rom-com kind of thing when I was listening to it, like a movie what's that one movie called? Someone Great. You know that movie?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I know very well.
It was one of those movies where I felt like I was just I woke up and then my day was starting and then this music was playing and I was just feeling good and making coffee and just kind of vibing,
dancing in your kitchen.
Well, this one was less of me dancing in my kitchen and more just kind of feeling myself,
vibing.
Totally. So that's what I appreciated about this album. That was kind of my first impression, was just it was a warm hug. Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was your first
I'm
going
to link this album again so everyone can go check it out with us.
Yes.
There's the link on Twitch if you guys want to listen to that. So when I first put it on, I was just again, I didn't really think it would be R&B. I was in neo soul. I for some reason didn't even think that could be a possibility, because a lot of the albums we've been listening to have been
indie pop.
Indie, yeah, very washy kind of music. So this is cool because this is a completely different approach. So when it first kind of came on, I was just like, yeah, sing to me, girl. Like, I need to hear this. So, and then
sing for me. You're like Ursula from The Little Mermaid. You're like, sing for me.
Literally.
Nyah's like, ah.
But yeah, like this girl's so young and she's already so solid. So I was just like super excited to listen to the whole album.
Oh, yeah.
What are some things that you enjoyed about this album?
Ooh, I mean,
Lots
the first thing that stuck out to me was her voice.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Her voice is so good.
Mature.
It makes me cry, but in the best way possible. Like, she has like, it like her voice hit me similarly in a way that Billie Eilish's voice hits me, but for a different reason. So like when I listen to Billie Eilish, her voice hits me in a way because I know that what she does is very like thought out and it's very intentional.
Yeah.
And that's the same vibe I got with this artist was that when she sings, yes, she's using a very airy tone, but when you listen to kind of how she kind of approaches all these different notes, you can hear the intention behind her voice. And I think that's what makes a good vocalist is that intention and that attention to those little details and how she moves through phrases. It's not just, I'm singing a song, blah, 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 blah. She's like, I can't, it's, you know, I don't know.
I know what you mean. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her usage of scatting. The song My Sister Told Me was written with Corinne Billy Ray, which we're going to talk about later, but like so exciting. She's got this like smooth old school R&B feel. It's not like very modern, like to an extent it is, but I think majority of it you can tell where the inspiration comes from. It's just really relaxing to listen to. I love that she did like the phone call intro thing because that to me is like so 2000s. I was just like,
I love it. It's very nostalgic. Kinda. Yeah, 100%.
And I've listened to so many songs very similar that do that. And she has just a really sweet, light tone to her voice. It's just really easy to listen to. Like, I think it'd be very hard for someone to not like this, you know? Like, I don't think someone would be like, this is horrible. Like, how can you say that? How could you say that? You can't.
Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to mention that hit me about this album that I think the reason why everything stuck out to me on this album was that you can tell that she worked with a producer that knew her voice very well and knew what to showcase.
Yes.
Because like this is probably one of the first albums I've heard that really helps the vocals shine is what I mean. And there's a lot of albums that do that, but this one in particular, it's just, I don't know what it is about it. Like whatever the producer, the mixer, the master did, her voice is just like gorgeous on this album.
She was sought out. Like someone found her and was like, you're coming to London with me, basically. Not to that extent, but like, so I think
come with me.
not capturing her, just very, very adamant. So, but I think it just goes to show you, like, they heard what they heard. They were like, I need to get this worked on, you know, like I need to help.
It's like what happened to her is like what everyone wants to happen to them as like when they're like, I want to be a singer. They want to be discovered and they want to be like whisked away to London to record it. Yes.
At a young age when you're young and beautiful.
Yeah. I think that she's living all of our fantasy right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So things I would have liked to have heard or things that weren't really on the album that I was like, I wish I could have kind of seen that. I think that the ballads, most of this album majority is ballads and kind of like those slower tempo songs. I think they really show off her voice, but I kind of just wanted something different, either a super up tempo song or a different style of song to show off more of her other range. Because I totally think she could do so much more. I just haven't heard it yet, right? But as she is quite young and she still has more time to show us what she can do, I think she has the room to expand. I don't think it's a rush. It's just I was like, I just would like to hear that. I'm just curious to see what more she could do, right? So
just kind of hearing she's got a lot of this amazing energy behind her voice and I'm like, I want to hear her just like wail on a song so bad because I feel like it'd be so cool. That was kind of my note too, is just like but on the other hand too, I kind of enjoy that they were all kind of the same vibe, because maybe it's just where I was listening to this album. But for me, the lack of variety, it didn't actually bother me as much as it has in other albums. Because for me, this album got better as it went along.
Right.
In the best way. Like, it started off really strong and then it ended really, really strong. So there's actually like a lot of things on this that when I kind of went back to it and listened to it again, I got a completely different experience. So upon first listen, I was like, yeah, okay, they all kind of sound similar and there's a lot of songs on the album. If I had to say like one thing that I personally would have done differently if I was releasing this album, which I wouldn't, because her voice is way better than mine. But what I'm saying
stop being a biatch. She's in timeout. She's trying to attack my other dog. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me. I was like, how
no,
dare
no, no. She's being mean. Can you see it?
Yes. Oh, Lily. Trying to give you kisses.
Scratch on your head. Anyways, you were saying.
I lost my train of thought. I got distracted by a dog. Natalie said, how old is she again? How old is Lily?
She's 18. I believe she just turned 18.
Lily is 18?
No. She's talking about Nyah.
Oh, no.
She's talking about Nyah, not Lily. She's a scratcher.
Yes, I think she just turned 18. Yeah.
Lily's 6.
I had a train of thought, and now I can't remember what my train of thought was because I got distracted by the dog.
So you're saying you didn't mind the ballads? You actually enjoyed it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And listening to it, So what I would have personally done differently if I had released this myself is I would have done it in 2 parts. I would have released like Honey Colored Part 1 and then Honey Colored Part 2, or like Honey Colored and then Deluxe, do like Honey Colored B-side. Like that's probably what I would have done. But again, I'm not the producer. I don't know what works. Yeah, that's just what I would have done. But I did like getting them all in one chunk like this because I think that it has a lot of. How old are Gen Zs? They're like, I don't know, 19, I think is the cutoff.
9?
I think so.
I
don't know. I just know most of Gen Zs are like 20 and 21, I guess. But yeah, I see again, I was on a train of thought and then I lost it.
Really, you biatch. Look what you did to Marissa. Gen Zs are between 1995 and 2015. They're currently 5 to 25. Then that means we're like borderline Gen Zs, which I think
we're
makes
right
sense.
At the cutoff. Yeah.
Can you review a song, please? It's on Spotify or Apple Music.
Yeah.
Well, we do specific reviews every day, but I would love to check that song out.
Yeah, definitely. You have to send me that link for sure.
So favorite songs?
There was a lot of oh man, I got a lot to say.
You're a lot to spew. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I made hella notes because I was like, I'm not gonna remember all these things that I like about this album. So I wrote them all down. I got a long list. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go through it like bam, 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 bam. Cool. So specifically harmonies on Sunday, the one that was kind of held and the other one that moved. I love that style of harmonies, and it was just so crunchy in certain parts. It was lovely. The melody on I Love Him, that fifth with like the full harmonies and the rich background. Also the organ in there was really, really cool. And some highlights for me. I actually wrote down what my highlights were. I wrote down, I want us to cover Numb. Oh my God. Highlight. I want to cover it. And then My Sister Told Me is another highlight for me. Yes. And I think those were and Magnolia was also a highlight as well. So those are 3 of my highlights. I do have one favorite, but I won't get to that yet. Yeah. What about you?
I just want to read this comment here on Reddit really quick. Have you ever heard an album that made you want to get a tattoo? I have done that. I have one.
That's a good question.
Because technically I have The Word Fearless, which is an album cover that I love. Not an album cover, an album in general, but I didn't get it necessarily because of the album. I got it because of the artist and because it's just a nice word.
I would have to think about that. I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever listened to an album and been like, yeah, I got to get a tattoo. I've listened to like certain song lyrics and been like, I got to get a tattoo, but I've never been like a full album. That's a good question though. Yeah. So what were some of the highlights for you on this album? Yeah, favorite songs.
So I really liked I Just Wish You'd Call Me. Numb had a really Destiny's Child feel, but was just really well complemented by like the synth and the instrumentation. I think as for like vocals and lyrics, I'll just kind of sum this all together. Vocals, there's some really cool vocal lines, especially in the song I Just Wish You'd Call Me. I actually want to see if I can just like quickly find it. Because it's just,
I know. I think I know exactly the part that you're talking about too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. So she basically just does that a bunch of times, but with actual lyrics. But really, really cool, and just really well done, and really like creative, unique. Because it's hard to think of like vocal variations to make albums and songs sound different, you know?
And that was what was really cool about this album, is that the vocal lines were so unique. Yeah. They were so unique, and it was so cool the way that like it was very counterintuitive, but in the best way possible. Like it was counterintuitive in a way that I was like, oh, that's like, that made my ear perk up, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah. That with the harmonies on top, and then like all the instruments and everything behind it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
And I think lyrics wise too, like I looked up, she did most of the writing on this album, which is nice to see. She did have some co-writers as well. But lyrics are really well written, and I think it suits the genre. They're relatable lyrics to what I think she must be going through at the age she is and during her life in this time. So
it's a very romantic album.
Yeah, I really specifically like this line. 1 minute I'm okay, I'm dancing like I don't got bills to pay. Next day I'm crying ways my stress so high, etc., etc. So that was in my sister told me, and I was like,
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I'm very much like, I love imagery and lyrics. So my favorite lyric of this album, the one that stood out to me, was actually in my favorite song, which was Magnolia. And the lyric was, but there are roses up on Huntington Street growing next to a magnolia tree, and there are people walking quietly, then there's you and I. And I pictured that in my head, and I was like, and like that on top of all the music, and it just
was fitting. It's beautiful.
For a hopeless romantic like me, I love this album.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's chat a little bit more. Well, I guess I never kind of mentioned my vocal stuff here, but some really cool vocal lines, like I was saying, especially in that one song I was just talking about. I would love to hear her collaborate with someone like Daniel Caesar or Alicia Keys, who I know is one of her big inspirations, but Daniel Caesar specifically because he's just got this like creamy, smooth texture that I think the two of them
very similar style.
Just, you know?
Yeah,
just do really well.
That would be cool.
So instrumentation, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, see, now you got me all excited about that Daniel Caesar. I'm like, okay, so like we need someone to get on this. Get Daniel Caesar to collab with her. That would be so cool. I would love that. I mean, she got Corinne Bailey Rae, so
right?
Yeah,
one step away.
Actually, sorry, I just remembered something about that I actually found about Corinne Bailey Rae when she was talking about it. Right here. My sister told me is a slick, sun-kissed slice of modern soul. That's beautiful. I love the alliteration.
Ooh, yeah.
Which delivers good feel vibes, uplifting funk in equal measure. And then it goes around. The song was composed and performed with Grammy Award winner Corinne Bailey Rae. Fittingly for a song which passes advice from one generation to the next, Nyah Grace and Corinne Bailey Rae co-wrote the song together. It was completed with further co-write from producer Steve Criscentho, who produced some of Corinne's biggest hits, which is really cool. She said, this is Nyah's comment specifically, she said, Corinne and I started writing this song when we first met, but it was a year later that I saw her again and we were able to finish the song. I couldn't get the verse quite right, but she suggested I try this. Immediately it worked. I'm not a rapper, so this was a really fun way really fun and out there for me.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I like that. So anyway, the instrumentation, like I mentioned before, going back and listening to this album a second time, there's so much more going on than you realize upon first listen. When you go back and listen to it again, you put headphones on, you're like, oh, I didn't hear that, the strings in the background. Oh, there's trumpet on this song?
Yeah.
What? The organ? And I actually wrote down, what? Organ? And it was, what did I write that down on? What song did I write that down on? Oh, I wrote melody on Yes, I Love Him, the fifth. Full harmonies, rich background. Also, organ. Is what I wrote in my notes.
Beautiful.
I said there's lots to discover about this album upon more than one listen. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
I specifically really loved the trumpet song in the beginning was really cool. It felt like someone was leaving a voicemail.
Yeah.
Summer Lovin' had a very nostalgic feel with there was these keys in the background that kind of had like this radio megaphone effect on it.
Yeah.
That kind of, I don't know, it felt very like vintage to me, which was really cool. And yeah, and just everything underneath of the vocals was just there to complement it. It didn't overpower the vocals, which I really appreciated.
Absolutely.
And it was all so well mixed into the background.
Yeah. Well, he's an Emmy winning, right? Emmy winning producer. Yeah. So, or not Emmy winning.
I know.
Grammy? I don't know why I just said that.
You're talking about the Emmys earlier. That's why.
So, instrumentation, it was stacked with talent from the synth, the drums, the bass. It was all really well done, and it fits the genre extremely well. It's complemented her vocals, soft tone. Like, it wasn't overpowering so that her tone was being washed out, which is, I think, impressive and difficult to do. And I could just see, like, this whole band being in the studio, just being like, just like, because you can't, with this kind of music, you can't not, like, respond to it.
Not vibe
your body
to it.
is just like, like, it would be very rare to see someone not at least be like,
it's like your body gets like taken over by like the R&B soul.
R&B
and you're like,
demon. You're like, but in the best way possible.
I don't know if I'd call it a demon, but it's just nice like demon. It enters through your ears and it comes out through your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the best way I can describe it. I don't know why I did that, but anyway.
What colors did you see from listening to this album?
Ooh, okay. I got a very, very specific color when I was thinking about this. Also just because the imagery in this album was just really inspiring to me. And honestly, like I want to write some songs after listening to this album.
Yeah.
I said, it's like when sunlight hits hardwood floor and you can see the gold specks of dust floating through the air. That's what I pictured.
I actually said caramel, yellows, golds, browns, warm tones of colors.
Lots of warm tones.
Yeah. And I think this almost can be kind of tied in with the album artwork, because if you look at that, she's got this really golden glow. So I think that kind of also ties into why you can kind of see that if you do look at the album artwork. I think in the album artwork, she looks so beautiful. The lighting is great in the shot. The makeup and hair is really well done. It's a really simple album cover, though. And I think as she's fairly new to music, it's a good photo to use. You don't have to be over the top. Like, you're just trying to get your name out there. You're not worried about the photo, right? Like, that's when you're Lady Gaga, you think a little bit more about your album photo. But when you're local or like starting up, it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, that's not the most important thing, you know? So, but I thought it was really, really good photo for what it is.
Do you want to hear something really funny, though? So the first time I looked at this album cover when I was putting it onto the thing, I thought I had like flipped it somehow. I was like, did I do this backwards? But then I looked, I was like, oh wait, no, that's just how it looks.
It is, yeah. It just is that way.
So yeah, the thing is that it makes you look at it again. Like you look, you have to like take a second and look so you can actually see what she looks like, which I think is very clever.
Yeah, I like that too.
But I like that it's also that kind of reflective image. So it's a very self-reflection album, which I think is cool. I think it fits really, really well.
Who would you recommend this album to if you could?
Ooh, well, specifically in my head, I had when I heard which song was it? I think it was Summer Lovin' when I was listening to that song. Either Summer Lovin' or Trumpet. I couldn't remember which one made me think of it, but I immediately thought of someone like Bianca Jade or Natalia Chai. I would recommend this album too.
I wrote down here, who would you recommend this to? I'd recommend this to my friend Natalia Chai.
Yeah. Natalia, we're going to send you this album.
I already did. And she was like, I haven't checked this out.
Did?
And I was like,
oh, okay, perfect.
So I'm excited.
I'm going to have to, then I'll have to send it to Bianca.
Yeah, totally.
If she hasn't already heard this album, maybe she's already heard it.
She could have.
Or, Courtney as well. She would also love this album.
There's lots of people.
Okay, I got to send this to like 1 million people.
As for how and where you'd listen to this album, she actually commented on this too, which is cool. Talking about this album, she says, I want it to be the record that you put on late at night at a friend's get-together. I love writing stories, and I want people to hear a combination of words and think that's so poetic and be moved by it, which I think you will.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I think that if you're a huge fan of R&B and soul, like if you like someone like Alicia Keys, or you like someone like Daniel Caesar, I think as well.
Yeah.
If you like any of those people in those sort of genres, I think this is the perfect album for you to listen to.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that the best time to listen to this is like right in the morning, right when you wake up, pop this album on, make some breakfast, make some coffee, and just sit in it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best time to listen to it. But late at night would also work.
Yeah. Let's give our conclusion.
Yeah.
This is a really impressive debut album from Nyah, and I'm so excited for her journey to see where all the success will take her. So I gave this album a grade level of A.
Yes. My final conclusions is that this is a very impressive debut album. There's basically nothing that I don't like about it, except for the fact that I probably would have split it into those two halves. But that's because I still want to hear all the songs.
Right.
And it's just overall just really, really well produced. The instrumentation was really tasteful. The vocals were the shining star of this album. And it really showcased Nyah's talent as a performer and her talent as a musician and a writer as well.
Yeah.
Again, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with her, and I'm very excited to check out more of her music when it comes out.
Same.
And I give this album an A+.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in today. Thank you for watching our album review. I will be live on Reddit live streaming music at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Hope you all have a great Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. You didn't say who you are. Did I say who
Sorry,
I was?
I'm
Millie Rouge. Okay. I was like, I feel like I said it. I didn't say it. I'm Millie Rouge.
I'm Marissa Kay. And if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified when these videos come out. We post them on YouTube an hour after we go live on Twitch.
Yeah.
And we do them Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. on Mondays, and then 10 a.m. Tuesday through Thursday. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.